Mother speaks. I am Great Mother, Holy Spirit, Yin, Divine Mother, Cosmic Womb, Deep Space, the Moon, Dark Matter, the Void, the Black Hole, Atar, Isis, Diana, Mommy Ishtar, Kali, Mammy, and Mother Mary. Hello, welcome to Great Mother Speaks. I'm Tammy Taylor, your manifestation muse, and today,
you know, when you're learning an entirely different culture and you don't speak the language, there's a surrender to knowing there's a limitation to how much you're going to actually be able to absorb. Because the nature of learning and the authenticity of integrating the information is compromised. And so as a result, you just make a truce with yourself that I'm going to get out of this what I need to get out of this. And that is the truce that I've made with myself with Vedic astrology. And so I say that because it's timely with this Pisces full moon in Shatabisha Nakshatra. I always remember Shatabisha Nakshatra because Nakshatra, see, there we go. It's different culture, different language, and, you know, struggling to pronounce and everything. But Spirit always gives us what we need. And what I need is to remember the essential elemental truth of these constellations. There are 27 of them. Shatabisha is at the end of Aquarius and the beginning of Pisces. And so we're in a Pisces full moon in both the Western and the Vedic. But it's important in the Vedic to look at the nakshatras, particularly when we are talking about the moon. It's a lunar astrology, and these are lunar-based constellations. I always remember Shatabisha because when I first heard it, it sounded to me like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Now, those of you who are raised in the Baptist tradition like I was, you might recall who they are. They were the three wise brothers who would not bow down to the king of Babylon. And they were rewarded as a result. This is a great planetary fear at this time, to stand in one's truth of their divinity. And this nakshatra is such a powerful one because it speaks to the reward for doing so. And if you recall, you know, they ended up being really high respected officials of Babylon because their God was leading them through all the trials and tribulations of not bowing down to this king. And everybody was like, what? He's going to kill you. He threw them into a fiery furnace. You know, he didn't just throw them in jail, or he didn't just, have a death sentence where they were killed in some, way, that everybody could watch and be, even put on a cross like Jesus Christ. He threw them in a furnace, and Jesus came and walked them out. And so, all of this, we understand as mythology because we are so deep into what Great Mother says is and in translation from the Vedas too, is called, the Sea of Forgetfulness. It is not a judgment or condemnation. We came into this world for a reason. We are under the veil of forgetfulness for a reason. Forgetfulness of what? Of our divinity, in order for us to learn how to use our power. As a good parent, you give your child, a little leash, a little bit at a time as they demonstrate their ability to maintain their lives. As long as they're safe, well, then we can loosen up a little bit and a little bit and a little bit. And that's how we grow. It's the same thing with us, as above, so below. So this nakshatra is all about feeling that power. And we're in an age where we're being so blessed with so many powerful downloads that if you are not in tune with your divinity, it's freaking people out. And so they're using it in different ways. For example, we were talking about an MDT support group about how all of the mass murders and things that are going on, it's really about a confusion that people are having internally. It has nothing to do with the external world. That's our first impulse, is to externalize everything that's happening. Oh, it's because of this, it's because of politics, it's because of that. No, 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 no. All war begins within. And the inner war is, as Great Mother, through the Great Mother Speaks Oracle deck, guides us through a rebirth and a regeneration of our divinity, through the release of MDT identity, the shame, blame, and guilt of the abandonment and abuse of our birth mothers. We have to, as individuals, undergo this internal rebirth. And what is rebirth? Rebirth is a death of the old self. And so just like everything else, instead of sitting with that, we go into addiction, which is just another word for pain avoidance. We go into drug addiction, sex addiction, or just addiction to trying to control others, which the ultimate expression of that is murderous behavior, whether it is through the spoken word or through action, which we can also use as a very powerful, loving tool, action and the spoken word, to uplift and to encourage through the signs and symbols, just as the signs and symbols through this Vedic astrology, whether I understand Hindu or I understand Sanskrit or not, Spirit is going to give me what it needs to give me in order to use me as a vehicle to speak to whoever needs to hear what it's saying. For those who do want to go through this rebirthing process and going through the fire, as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego did, they had to prove to themselves that they were worthy to rule Babylon. They were just humble believers in God. And that's what is meant by the meek shall inherit the earth. The humility goes through an experience of gaining the wisdom of knowing that it has a value to the world. And that's what this transition from the Piscean age of the Christ consciousness into the Aquarian age, which is about embodying the Christ consciousness as individuals. We live Christ consciousness as individuals. We live what he taught as individuals. In other words, we dance to the beat of our own drum, just like he did. He just showed us an example of how he did it, how he embraced his divinity and believed in his God, despite the what they call them, the Sadducees, the Pharisees and the Sadducees were against him. The high priests were against him and his teaching of the great Father. And so we are coming into that, and Great Mother, Father God are injecting us and the planet with the power to do it. But if we don't know what we're being injected with, we are interpreting it as fear, because we are so filled with fear due to this sea of forgetfulness that we're in, that has got us in this addiction to external manifestation of Great Mother, Father God, as opposed to the internal. So this is all about us connecting with that during this season. The full moon is in Pisces in both the Western and in the Vedic astrology. And as we know, Pisces is the teetering, tottering slope that we walk between delusion and enlightenment, between self-deception and self-awareness. The Leo new moon, Great Mother, did an extended introduction about what this season leading up to January 2020 is all about. So if you want to check that out, there is a link in the information box below. This full moon, Great Mother wants to bring our attention to the Vedic aspect of this season with this full moon in Pisces, in the Vedic and in the Western. Now, what's interesting is that in the Vedic astrology, Neptune, as opposed to in the Western astrology, being in Pisces at this time, creating a great deal of delusionment and difficulty with that dance, with awareness. In the soul astrology, or the cosmic astrology as opposed to the geocentric, earth-centric ego astrology that is basically the tropical astrology that's focused on our egoic experience, our ego reaction to life. In the soul astrology, we're actually looking at how, why, when, and for what purpose the soul incarnated. Neptune here is in Aquarius, and so this period of time has to do with what the collective consciousness is undergoing in terms of its internal dance between illusion and awareness around humanity, around what it wants to collectively contribute on a soul level to this transitional phase between the Piscean age and the Aquarian age. This is why this particular period is so intense. So what Great Mother wants to focus on in this introduction to your full moon Pisces reading is the idea that you, from a soul perspective, are looking toward the future at this particular time, or you're looking in the past at this particular time, at yourself, at your experience at this particular time. And you're either saying, wow, I am really living up to my greatest soul potential at this time to free myself from the bondage, from the attachment to forgetfulness of my divinity, forgetfulness of my soul essence, forgetfulness of my birthright to be happy, healthy, and whole. I am releasing myself from that forgetfulness. I'm doing my level best as a conscious being to do that. Or I am overwhelmed by the challenges of doing that. And either way, Great Mother is inviting us to receive the eternal grace and mercy that is available to us, particularly as the planet is experiencing the disorder of mama drama trauma, which this channel focuses on to heal. Mama drama trauma being that condition in which the mother projects unhealed aspects of herself onto the child, causing emotional and or physical trauma. And in cases where she's unwilling, unable, and unavailable, she may have transitioned to heal her own MDT. Loving detachment is necessary for the child to live a happy, healthy, and whole life. In other words, for us to fully embrace our birthright to be happy, healthy, and whole. Living in loving detachment is necessary to do that. So the Great Mother Speaks Oracle deck was channeled for us to have a daily practice of releasing ourselves from that bondage of attachment to the toxic mama experience, the forgetfulness that the drama engenders about our divinity, and the trauma that we experience as a result, the dissociative experience from our soul that keeps us in bondage. So the opportunity this full moon is to, from the tropical perspective, look at the harvest of the year. This has been a very intense year with Saturn and Jupiter in retrograde and the eclipses that we've had in the most powerful in Vedic astrology nodal position of Gemini in the North Node and Sagittarius in the South, because it has to do with that human intelligence of the ego in the North Node evolving through awareness and the release of old attachments to old ways of connecting with the divinity, with that Sagittarius in the South, based on experience. Wisdom is based on experience, what we learn through our own experience, as opposed to the intelligence of Mercury, which rules Gemini, that is based on an ability, an ego ability to figure things out. And so they work well together when understood. But when wisdom is held as the greater virtue, then we actually are evolving. We actually are growing. And so with Sagittarius being in the South Node, conjunct Saturn, conjunct Pluto, we have this opportunity to do a tremendous amount of release of old spiritual beliefs and practices that no longer work for us, such as toxic beliefs about sin, the idea that we are separate from God. That is a very old religious teaching. And it no longer serves us as we move into an Aquarian age that is about being very clear about our divinity. Now, speaking of clarity about divinity, not everyone survives deity initiation. And that is what we're talking about. Let us be clear. We are talking about divinity initiation, an initiation into a conscious ego-soul alignment. So this full moon is an illumination with regard to where you are with that. Great Mother wants you to be very clear about where you are in relationship to that, in relationship to your soul and what your soul wants to do at this particular time about that in your life as it relates to mama drama trauma, the foundation of all relationships in your life. In our relationships, just like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, who is the poster child of mama drama trauma, each card is based on a scene in the Wizard of Oz. Along that yellow brick road journey, that hero's journey to embracing our divinity, that journey, that rites of passage to deity initiation. Because, of course, when we return home, we return to peace. We return to our true self. So this return to self requires a rebirth. It requires this dark night of the soul, which for us, being mama drama trauma, most of the planet, most people won't admit it. It is a taboo subject. But during the Aquarian age, it will become more and more prominent as an issue to be addressed. There's a reason there's an increase in suicides. There's a reason there's an increase in drug addiction. All of these are just forms of pain avoidance. And this is what is meant by not everyone survives deity initiation. Many people do not believe because they do not know that they're divine beings. They think because of the attachment to forgetfulness, attachment to the illusion of this experience, and we incarnate into this material experience in order to have the veil over our eyes, as Dorothy had the veil, the believing that Oz was the god of all gods, until she took the witch's broom, which taught her that she had the power to take her power back from an idea of an externalized God. Great Mother, Father, God is us, within us. And this is a scary thought for a culture from a planetary collective consciousness that believes it's separate from God. That's a scary thought, let alone something to integrate into one's consciousness. So we are what the Christ called a peculiar people. We know that we are in this world, but we are not of it. And so this is a little spoken word that is payment and homage to what Great Mother is inviting us to do in terms of looking at this placement of where we are. Consciousness ascends and consciousness, it forgets. We evolve. The Kundalini awakens and the Kundalini goes to sleep. We are living, breathing beings who we have periods of active conscious awareness and growth and periods of rest and fallowness, just like the soil. So that's why we learn first and foremost about our divinity identity, that we are dearly loved children of the great Mother, Father, God, who are never judged, condemned for that. Because just like the seasons, that's just like saying, in the Northern Hemisphere, we're, slowly moving into fall, although the planet is heating up and is on fire and all of these things that are happening because of our forgetfulness. There's no judgment or condemnation. There is awareness. There's a difference. And it's a very important distinction to make. There is awareness that what we're doing is either fortifying the experience of our divinity or it is detracting from it. And we get to make the free will choice. Some say, and particularly in Vedic astrology, that we do not have free will. But it is said within the context, I would hope, I understand the belief of no free will within the context of we are given the choice in our experience. We get to experience making choices so that we know if we choose to go into the direction of what does not reinforce our divinity, such as burning down the rainforest and therefore setting our entire environmental equilibrium off, is not beneficial. We get to experience that so that we learn it. Again, wisdom being the hallmark of divinity. We learn through experience, which is why we're not judged or condemned. It doesn't make sense to believe in a God that judges and condemns you for coming here to have experience. How can you have experience if you don't get to choose? So in this life, we do get to choose. It's just that in the arc of eternity, there is just one consciousness, and that is the consciousness of love. And that is what they're talking about. And since it's difficult for most people to even grasp what is being discussed here, they just go ahead and jump to the end of the story that there is no free will. It's all, love. But step by step, yes, within lifetimes, that's how we gain experience. That's how we gain wisdom about what love is. We have to learn it through experience. Great Mother's inviting us to recognize at this particular stage in our lives with this Pisces full moon in both the Western and in the Vedic, what we are choosing. Are we choosing to go away from our divinity, feeling and experiencing being dearly loved, never judged or condemned, or left alone? Or are we continuing to engender those experiences, such as mama drama trauma, in particular here with your full moon reading, that you are detracting from that experience? Which one is it? Because within this season, there are a lot of transits that are being discussed. And one specifically with the Vedic, just like Great Mother in her extended introduction, with the Pluto-Saturn conjunction in the Western astrology that has captured the imagination of astrologers. In the Vedic astrology, we are having the Gemini move from Purnavasu into Ardra Nakshatra. And we're having Sagittarius move into Mula, which is the center of the cosmos. It's the nakshatra that is the center. It's the heart, the cosmic heart of the cosmos. It is Great Mother. It is the primordial womb. And so the primordial womb is going to receive for us what we are willing, ready, and able to release. And so that's why Great Mother is wanting us to know at this particular time, those of us who are working with releasing mama drama trauma, the blame, shame, and guilt, feeling the cause, feeling that we can cure, feeling that somehow we can control mama drama trauma, and releasing all of that dysfunction is going to be tremendously supported, especially as we have in November Jupiter moving into Sagittarius as well. So lots and lots of cosmic support for us. The spoken word that I would like to share with you is this: child, mother, father, teacher, parent, scholar, a pence, a pound, a dollar, a month, a day, an hour. Years, decades, scores. Work, hobbies, chores. A house, a window, a door. Beginning, middle, end. Whole, half, empty. Physiology, biology, anatomy. Plants, seeds, soil. Sun, rain, earth. The planetary galactic search. Olmec, Toltec, Aztec, Cholula, Pyramid, Sphinx. Ego, soul, spirit, the initiation, communication, conduit. Maya 2012, the whole world, into it. Crazy, sane, normal, casual, everyday, formal. The known, unknown, and unknowable. Mystery, intrigue, certainty. Past, present, future. Galaxy, planet, light year. Stellar procession, sacred. Man, woman, offspring. Bound, insecure, free. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. Night, noon, morning. Sacred, science, faith. Time, space, location. You are blessed, wanted, needed. Breathe, inspire, intention, purpose, reason. Cave, hut, house. Master, worker, slave. Moon, stars, sun. 3, 2, 1. Eternal divine self. Present, future, past. First, late, last. Dawn, day, sunset. And these are your Pisces. Shatabisha full moon readings. Cancer moon sign people, the colors, okay, they're talking to me. Great Mother is saying that there is a need to look at how self-judgment, self-criticism is serving you versus being self-aware. She's saying that to all of us, but it's something about how it's serving you, because I'm seeing this root chakra energy. You have 3 root chakra cards and you have 3 gut chakra cards, and that's heart below chakra energy. And then you have 3 heart chakra cards. So there's a strong theme of heart below chakra energy here, which has to do with our grounding in the world. It has to do with the programming that serves our heart unction, because the heart chakra is the crossroads between the ego and the soul. It's the crossroads of, rather, the ego and the soul. And so your crossroads are emphasizing a well-walked path along your ego conditioning, and really consciously aligning that with these higher energies that you have in the 5th chakra and your 7th chakra here. You have 7 chakra cards, the law cards, 3 of those. So 3 law cards, Great Father cards, the law, the word, the logo, which are 7th chakra, that imaginative, creative space of visualization and manifestation. And in the Great Mother Speaks Oracle deck, she comes through the 7th chakra with release, because we have to be very creative and very imaginative in releasing the mother that we want in order to accept the one that we have. So that's why it's a grieving process. There are 6 steps in the Great Mother Speaks Oracle deck: aspire, acknowledge, self-inquiry, processing, integrity, rebirth, and emancipation. For the lower arcana cards, those 6 chakras, and the 7th chakras, law card, and the 8th chakras are the acknowledge, self-inquiry, etc. 3 law cards, 3 heart chakra cards, 3 gut chakra cards, and 3 root chakra cards. So heavy on the heart below chakras, aligning with the law, which you have in your shadow position, the law of Divine Mother. Cancer being ruled by the Divine Mother of the Moon, you don't realize how active her energy is in your life right now with the law of acting on your intuition. This is a gut chakra law card that is about processing emotions consciously in order to release toxicity in our lives. And so just as we have in the gut chakra, literally is that energetic space of our intestines where we are processing our food, and the body is going through a distinguishing between what is nutrition and what is waste. That is the whole thing that we're being called to do this full moon, is look at this judgment and condemnation versus self-awareness. Because in the Western, the tropical, the egoic, the geocentric astrology, the sun is in Virgo. And so emotionally, the collective consciousness is quite critical, as opposed to being discerning where we want to be in our soul space. And that is what you may not be aware of, is that you're needing to discern the difference between being self-critical and aware of your birthright to be happy, healthy, and whole. You do have a birthright to be happy, healthy, and whole. Sometimes we can have a tendency to be self-critical because mama drama trauma creates this shame, blame, and guilt based on feeling like we're a burden. You know, we're a burden to our mothers first and foremost. Obviously, the rejection, the neglect, the abandonment, the abuse, whatever has created the condition in which the mother is projecting these unhealed aspects of herself onto her child. It makes the child, as opposed to feeling completely loved and nurtured in the way that it needs to, feeling like a burden. And so Great Mother wants you to know that you have a birthright, regardless of all of that, to be happy, healthy, and whole. Now, the question is whether or not in your present condition you're willing to face that challenge. And that's the 5th chakra energy of the Sphinx. You have here this first quarter moon energy that's all about facing this challenge of owning up to your birthright to be happy, healthy, and whole, despite having been conditioned to feel like you're a burden. And when you're conditioned to feel like you're a burden, we just walk through life feeling like we're a burden to everybody. So we're always trying to make life easy for everybody just to justify our existence. That's a challenge. And Great Mother is shining a light on that for you this full moon, Cancer moon sign people. And she's doing this because in the recent past, we have Kali here, first quarter moon energy. First quarter moon is about making a decision, you know, and so you have made a decision in the recent past to face this fear of abandonment, abuse, neglect, potential loneliness, which is a real fear for Cancer moon sign people. You want your home to be filled with people, filled with love, and to even entertain that not be the case is very unsettling. But that's why your birthright is in your shadow position. You don't realize that in your home and in your space, you not only have a right to be happy, healthy, and whole, theoretically, but in your actual day-to-day life you do. So even though momentarily there may need to be a reassessment of how your home is filled and with whom, in order for you to experience health, happiness, and wholeness, it's worth it. And you've just come to some conscious realization of that. And it's scary that there may need to be some changes made, or that there have been some changes made, and that has made you afraid. Maybe you've gone through a divorce. Maybe you have recently sent a child off to college, or maybe you have broken up with someone, or someone has transitioned, and maybe there's just been a blow up, and the energies are just no longer aligned, and there's been more of a focus on being alone, or feeling alone, feeling judged, condemned, feeling unloved, as opposed to connecting with the great mother energy of your divinity that knows you're a dearly loved child of the great mother, Father God, who's never judged, condemned, or left alone. The issue here is that you're doing a dance with this inner wisdom. Being Cancer Moon, you do know this on a very deep level, which is why you can share this energy with other people. You know this. It's just to know this for yourself is a whole nother ball game. And that's what the Sophia New Moon Heart Chakra card is about. This heart chakra being able to open up is difficult because this is new moon energy, and new moon energy is darkness. You don't see with your outer eyes. And so that's where the fear comes from. Root chakra is about something being real, something being materialized, that tribe, that connection. New moon energy in the heart chakra is that crossroads of that intuitive space. You're going into intuitive space now. That's why this is heart above chakra energy. It's not that grounded, conditional, material space. It is a very ephemeral space where your inner wisdom resides. And so you're doing this dance with Sophia, with your inner wisdom, and trusting that inner knowing as opposed to what your outer senses are saying. There's some sentient knowing that you have, some clear sentience about the situation that you're really not allowing yourself to fully integrate, because the law of soul and soul guidance and guardianship is leading you to this Christ consciousness of I am that I am. I am that divine child that I know myself to be. It's leading you, it's guiding you to a sense of protection despite maybe feeling, again, loneliness, condemnation, judgment. And it's guiding you through this yin heart chakra energy. This is a heart chakra law card, which is, there's a release and there's a grieving from the heart. But this letting go is making space for this divinity. It's making space for you to take charge of what you think about how you feel. This is the higher heart chakra energy. The lower heart chakra energy, and we know that the heart chakra has two chambers physically, and one chamber feeds down and another chamber feeds up. And so the heart below energy is one energy, but that valve that goes up is all about a conscious awareness of what you're thinking about how you feel. In other words, emotions are what we think about how we feel. And when we're conscious of our thoughts about our feelings, in other words, if you are feeling alone because of this blow up, for example, yet Your inner knowing, your wisdom, your soul guidance, your guardianship, the protection that you feel and you sense around you is telling you that you're not alone on an intuitive level. You know that. Now, with heart chakra above energy, it's up to you to shift your thought about that feeling of loneliness to, I'm not alone. My angels, my guides, my ancestors surround me. I'm good. That's what Great Mother's saying. And right now, you know that with the Sula's full moon card of wellness. You know it, but you don't know it. That's the deal. That's the whole other thing. You know it for everybody else, but you don't know it for yourself, Cancer moon sign people. And that's what this full moon is about you getting clear about that for yourself without self-judgment and condemnation, because it's not about you saying, well, I should know it because I know it for everybody else. It's not about that. It's about you becoming aware of that. Just be aware. Just be aware that that's where you may be right now, and that you're doing this dance with your inner wisdom. And that you have a choice to be swept away by your emotions on a heart chakra below energetic level, or to be in charge of what you think about your feelings. This is the awareness. This is the awareness that Great Mother is inviting you to. And she's inviting you to let go of any and everything that does not serve your bliss. Another new moon card, Hattar. Hattar is the second chakra new moon card. So this is all about your desires. And so what is it that you're desiring? Are you desiring to continue to align with the MDT shame, blame, and guilt? Feeling alone, feeling condemned, feeling unloved, neglected, abandoned, abused. Just because that's the pattern? No. We're grieving all of that. And grieving is hard, because if that's all we've been taught, that's how we've been taught to connect with the world. That's our whole heart chakra below programming. We have to let that go, and it takes time. But in that letting go, the fun part is we're able to do that because we're shifting our focus from that to divinity. And that's following our bliss. That's following our destiny. That's following our north node. That's following our North Star. That's following a life beyond MDT. That's Hattar, new moon, second chakra, our desire beyond that root chakra. And asking ourselves, does this serve me? Is this what I want? This new moon is ninth house energy for you. And so this is a very spiritual energy for you. This is a very strong internal space of expansion and of connecting telepathically to others as a teacher or as a student. It is an energy that is very receptive to what Great Mother is saying at this time as a confirmation of what you know. Because in the center of your spread, the law of Divine Father is the double yin energy, second chakra energy of not only receiving the inner wisdom, but downloading that intuitive wisdom consciously, knowing that it is serving your bliss, your pleasure, where you're moving forward to in your life, step by step by step by step. So you're definitely expecting there to be a shift in your life in that direction, and Great Mother is confirming that. What you may not be aware of that is influencing all of this is your birthright to be happy, healthy, and whole. See, that's in your shadow position, and it's also in the position here, Lilith, personal power of hidden influences. Lilith is the minor arcana, gut chakra card. Gut chakra is that emotional processing, okay? And so you are processing this birthright to be happy, healthy, and whole. That's what your personal power is. You are looking at how you are using that ability in relationship to your drama mama, in relationship to her behavior. You know, what is the dynamic that is emerging here as you face the challenge of being more self-aware and elevating your experience as a divine child who is loved, never judged, condemned, or left alone, by taking charge of your thoughts about how you feel when you're interacting with her reactions. Just because she's reacting a certain way or she's initiating certain toxic behaviors, does that mean that you're unloved? Does that mean that you're not guided? Does that mean that you're not protected? Does that mean that you are condemned, that you are judged by Great Mother, that you are alone? No, it means that she's unable, unwilling, and unavailable to heal her MDT. That's what that means. And anyone else who's behaving that way. Again, this is not about judgment or condemnation of yourself or anyone else. It's about awareness. Great Mother wants you to be aware of all of this going on. That's a hidden influence. You may not be aware of your personal power and how it's playing out. And that's the layers beneath all of this that's going on that she wants you aware of, Cancer moon sign people. By embodying this energy of processing, we see Moses coming up here with first quarter moon energy of facing the challenge of learning to live the law. And the law is ego soul alignment. The law is aligning heart below energies with heart above energies. It is being of one singular body, mind, spirit energy, not moving in three different ways at the same time. It's aligning ourselves, and that is a daily practice because we do live in what we've been conditioned to believe are multiple worlds, but we actually are in holographic time and space, which is what Great Mother's message is evolving to in my personal work with clients, which is really exciting as we're transitioning from the Piscean to the Aquarian age. Learning to live the law in the embodiment position, Cancer moon sign people, is all about you accepting the praise, the love, and support of not only your angels, guides, and ancestors, but those individuals around you that you may not realize are loving on you because you have wanted it so dearly from your mother. You have wanted it so much from your children. You have wanted it so much from your best friend, your cousins, your spouse, whatever. You have had this singular laser vision about who's supposed to be loving you the way you need to be loved, as opposed to expanding that perception and being more consciously aware of what you think about your feelings. If you feel that you need to be loved, what Great Mother's saying with learning to live the law, align those feelings more consciously with what's going on in reality. That person that always is inviting you to something, or that person who's always, has something nice to say to you, or that person that you never quite seem to get together with, but you always mean to meet up or whatever. Or it may not be a person at all. It may just be your internal space that you've been neglecting with this Pisces full moon, 9th house energy, Cancer moon sign people, that you're needing to spend a little bit more time with in order to process all of this. This isn't new for you. Great Mother's just giving it to you in a meal in this reading for you to munch on. The possible outcome is rebirth as you do this work, as you consume this message, and as you work with it. This is about the resurrection that comes from sacrificing something of value in order to gain something of greater value. So you're sacrificing a previous approach to giving and receiving love and learning, teaching, sharing, expanding yourself in order to grow in ways that you haven't grown before. Maybe you've done that in methodical ways in the past, but now there's so much that's coming up to learn and to gain. You're just kind of going with the flow, going with what feels right. That's a rebirth, because now you're moving into a more authentic space. Now you're actually allowing life to kind of happen and to kind of show you what direction you need to go into with a little bit more relaxation, with a little bit more peace. That is what giving up something of value that was valuable the way you did it before. Again, it's not about judgment or condemnation. There's nothing wrong with it. It just doesn't serve you anymore. You've grown. You've had the wool pulled from your eyes. The anxiety has been revealed as fears about moving forward and facing the challenge of owning your birthright to be happy, healthy, and whole. And so now it's, okay, now that I'm here, what is the arc of this journey? Where is this yellow brick road going? Where is it bending to? And that's very possible that there's a complete rebirth or regeneration of yourself. And in the long term, there will be it doesn't seem like there has been a complete acknowledgement of your soul contract at this time, but there will be. The MDT soul contract is for us to evolve in self-love and spiritual independence. We agreed as souls to incarnate this lifetime and experience MDT with the soul that loved us enough to coerce us into learning to love ourselves by denying us the love that we needed, so that it would force us to give ourselves the love that we needed. We agreed to do that so that we could evolve in self-love. We could evolve in learning to love ourselves and spiritual independence. We only learn to love ourselves through developing a personal relationship with the Great Mother, Father, God. How we identify with spirit. That's a unique relationship. And that's what the MDT soul contract is about. The acknowledge card, the A in Aspire, is balsamic moon energy. It's about downloading what we need in order to do that. And that's where the arc of the road is bending toward, this level of acknowledgement. You have moved beyond MDT denial, and you are on the journey to fulfilling your MDT contract. This full moon, the outcome is body, mind, soul alignment. This message from Great Mother is greatly helping you to gain a sense of gratitude and clarity with regard to the awareness that you need to do that. The awareness that you need to completely click your heels 3 times, as Dorothy, the poster child of Mama Drama Trauma, did, to return home to peace. And home truly is where the heart is. Your heart knows it has a birthright to be happy, healthy, and whole. And Great Mother has just given you the tools to do that through the illumination of this Pisces full moon in your 9th house, Cancer moon sign people. Thank you so much for watching, sharing, and liking. Remember to sign up for the free Great Mother Speaks Oracle deck. If you haven't gotten yours already, they're moving fast. And the 8-week tutorial that begins November 3rd and goes into December 22nd. It is once a week. You can choose Sunday or Monday evening. We have a lot of fun on those calls, but this is specifically to learn how to read the Great Mother Speaks Oracle deck for yourself. Remember, Great Mother loves you And I do too.
Great Mother speaks. I am Great Mother, Holy Spirit, Yin, Divine Mother, Cosmic Womb, Deep